and Jitsi.
And Jitsi, yeah. So they do have a free tier, and I am a big fan of leveraging free tiers. That's why in my next talk, Zero Cost Security, it's all about using the free
Recording
tier.
is on.
So if you want to demo the mud.
Sure. All right. I'm going to fire up Mudlet here. And my battery's at 19%, so we should be good. I didn't bring a charger. I'm just wildcarding it. I did fully charge it before I came out. All right, so let's see. Do I have? Yep, Black Mud Prod. Now the client only looks so good on the tablets, and it also doesn't show all of the info for the Immortal because I will never level. I can't gain a level. So some stuff just doesn't draw or update as it should be. It says a connection is successfully established. Should have tested this part before the connection. You couldn't get to it? I wonder if it's filtered. Let me see if I can get around that with a VPN connection. Okay. There we go. Security. Oh, well, I do need to break the stream and the share. Let's see. There we go.
Does it put the password back?
It doesn't, but I had to type it in because the one that was in the menu there was an old one. There we go. And all right, so you're in. There was a little bit of scrolling there, news and stuff. We have a Facebook. Discord's the main place to get info, but there's a menu system. So there I could create a character, I could change my password, change my email address, delete my account. But here I'm going to connect a character, and then I'm going to select my character. So Cal, short for Calator, the name of my Immortal inside the game.
That's where Cal comes from.
That's where Cal comes from.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was asked online.
Yeah. So you see I take over my body from some fool. That's because I was connected in Mudlet at my house. So hopefully my profile is not going to auto reconnect and have the right password, because then it might kick me off again, but should be fine. So I can type who, so we can see here the names with a little bit of the cyan color there are Immortals. So Calator, Breaker of Things, Groglar, and Mox. And then we have 2 players currently on, Jote, the Almighty Healer of House Belethos, and Beleth, the Spider Archmage of House Belethos. And Beleth there, we've gone through many eras. We used to have player versus player combat just enabled once you were over a certain level. But then in our latest iteration, probably in the mid 2000s, we did an opt-in PvP system. So I want to kind of change that with the arenas, that anyone can duke it out in there. But if you flag for PK, then, well, anyone can walk up and just gank you. It can be dangerous. Here's an example of a room. This is my, immortal abode, and you can see my guardian here, Kiasid, the High King of the Gargoyles, is lying here stunned. That's because he doesn't have any hit points. He has like 0 hit points. So you can see I'm going to stat Kiasid, and I'm going to be able to see some details on him. So this is the character sheet, but this is from the admin point of view. So looking at this, I can see, it's a mob. its VNum or virtual number is 8, its NR or its row number in the SQL database is 4, it has no special procedures, and you can see there's a bunch of details here. You know, it's neutral sex, it's size large. All of this stuff about the classifications and attributes and size was all new stuff I added in with the Age of Discovery as a part of that race definition to allow things to have a little bit of meaning and inheritance. So you can see, like, he has it here as a construct is pretty cool because, I mean, he has head, he has hands, he has a head. He's cold blooded, which means that if you have infravision, you're not going to see him in a dark room. Until a future update, I plan to, if you're a construct and I hit you with, say, a fireball, I might warm you up enough that you can see them for a little bit of time until the heat effect wears off. All the fun stuff you can do in a text-based game because you don't have to worry about the graphical implications of all this cool stuff. You just have to manage the data state effectively. He also doesn't breathe, so if I launch in like a cloud kill spell, he doesn't breathe, so he's going to be immune to that type of spell effect. Um, you can see his stat capabilities. This was also new. I kind of created that range of maximum stat capability, their current stats, and then their natural stats. Um, yeah, let's see. And then these things is breaking out. So the conditions. So what we saw above in the sense of the attributes and classifications ultimately comes down here in the effects because there's spell effects that could grant you some of these. There's skill abilities that can grant you some of these that are typically temporary, whereas the classifications and attributes will give it to you through inheritance, so permanently. All right, let's go and we went now to where Jote is, and we're in the market square of Macklemore. Hey, there's that enormous fountain in the shape of a dragon that pours forth cool water. I wonder if I can drink that water. I drink that water. Screen refresh there. So you can see there's some enemy or some stuff happening, like a large rat has arrived from the north, a large rat has arrived from the south. Even that string right there has arrived from in the database. So if I wanted to modify for whatever race that rat is, I doubt it's a rat. It's probably listed as a mammal. I hope that's right. Has arrived from. But if I wanted to make a race that was a rat and say it's skitters, then all rats then from then forth, if they're keyed as a rat, would skitter north and skitter south, or skitters in from the north. Actually, I like that. I might actually do that. Man, the players were just complaining about this exact thing because they said it's very spammy. This is where I can exhibit my immortal powers, and I could say at rat slay rat, and then just all across the land, rats are dying. There are no more rats in the world. I have killed all the rats. So if I look in the room I'm currently in, there are 2 corpses of rats lying there. Now that's only going to last until the area, the zone resets, and then it's going to understand to say, hey, there were some rats that were in this world. There should be at least 3 rats in this world. I'm currently configured to repopulate 1 rat per reset cycle. So here's a new rat, and every zone has its own reset time. And then on that cycle, the whole zone resets that way. I might change that model to do mobiles is the term, or mob, resetting on their own, having their own defined time. Or I might take an approach where the zone has a reset time, and on the mob record, I can have a modifier that a builder or creator can say it'll be +5 or -5, or even a range that gets rolled to set some odds. So players learn these things. That's the problem. You know, the players have played this game. A lot of our players have played for a very long amount of time, so they know the reset time for a lot of our zones. So when they go and they say they clear the vampires out of the Laguz mansion, you know, they know in 90 minutes it's going to repopulate, which is kind of a good thing because you want them to want to do stuff. Here's the areas or zones, show zones. That's it. So if I look at the zones, Here you can see it's just a list of the zones. You can see the lifespan of the zone. So that's the amount of time it's configured to do a reset on. So we're in the city of Macklemore, so 6 is currently set to reset every 35 minutes. It's currently at 33 minutes. It's been idle for 0 minutes because it has someone like myself in it doing things. We can tag a zone to not reset unless there's no one in it. That's why that one is a particular note. The ID range for said zone, and then what plane of existence it's on. We have some spells like, teleport. You can't teleport to a different plane, but you might be able to gate to a different plane. So a mage wouldn't be able to jump in hot planes, but a cleric could, you know, based in Dungeons and Dragons, and that's kind of like how it was in the D&D world. We got some strong roots. Zone wise, if we kind of go through this, right now we have 93 zones in the game. If I type world, this is some key stats here. So right now the server's been up since Sunday, August 11th. We do still have some bugs. So we do still crash from time to time. Been working through those. But the number of rooms in the game is 36,501. Number of zones in the world is 96. Number of distinct mobiles in the database is 1,968. Objects 2,151. Players 117, and then that's like player accounts, people, and then number of registered characters is 154. And so those numbers are from when we did the Age of Discovery reset on April 1st. So that's since April 1st, we've had 117 unique people create accounts to play. Total number of monsters currently in the game, 4,316. Total number of objects in the game right now is 4,039. So as zones open up, we will close zones down if they're sitting idle for too long, just to kind of reclaim some of the memory. That's more of an old school thing than a current school thing. Granted, we're running on a system that's below the specs of your modern Raspberry Pi. That said, I do like that feature because we have been doing new capabilities like the JSON data stream that requires more. So if I type Lua GMCP, or is it GMCP? Yeah. So here, this is that GMCP data stream, that JSON block. So I can see different info, like there's the Discord info. So if I hit the Discord button up here in the client as a player, it's actually going to route me to the Black Mud Discord. If I had it set up or enabled, I would actually see, and Discord can show what game you're playing. You would see I'm playing Black Mud. This is just one of those cool little hooks. Let's see. So let's show I'm gonna do a typo. Man, you really botched how to spell fountain. You should fix that. So I just submitted in a typo in the room I'm in. I think there's a fountain in here. Yep, there's still the fountain in there. So that got logged. And so if I were to go, oh, that's the screen share. And we'll say Jira. Oh, I have not even been there from here. Yeah, I know. Yeah, so give me a second to find the Jira. Let's see, what's my battery hanging at? 10%. We'll ride it to the end. I was going to show Discord anyway, so let me fire up Discord. What I think is one of the cooler ones too, which is Grafana. So behind the scene, there's currently what I would call three developers doing C code, and then one developer doing the client. And he also does code review for us. so he hasn't been authoring code, but his day job is he reviews code like C, and he works with raw encryption functions. Like, yeah, so he's pretty sharp. He's pretty dang good. So he's the one who gives me all the pointers on the inefficient code I write, and gives me points and tips on how to make it more efficient. Love it. Let's see. So that one's loading up. And then there's also a few admins that work purely on content and curating areas. We've been active, like when we did the Age of Discovery, we refactored McAlore City. We brought in some new crypts north of there, a new cemetery, some sailor village to the south of the city. So we still make new content and experiences in the game as well. We don't have like a built-in questing system in the game yet, but that's one of those that I intend to work with some folks and put in, even if it's basic kill quest or adventure quest or escort quest, so that there's a means that as a player you can like have these things you can do outside of just killing stuff or an immortal Rand quest, which we will do, which is players love that. I mean, we can puppeteer mobs in the game, we can create challenges, and we also curate our own rewards, and that's probably what players love the most is they'll pay the price in blood and their death, so to speak, to get whatever rewards we're welcome to give, because we normally will give things that are typically inaccessible. And it's worth noting in a game like this, when you die, you can lose levels. You will lose items into your corpse that you have to go and retrieve. It can be pretty brutal. We do turn off the ability to lose a level once you get max level, but you still lose experience. So you still want experience that you can use to spend to still increase the stats of your character. It's called our meta fountain. But if you die enough, you could go all the way back to effectively level 1 experience wise and work your way out of the hole. Yeah, not a fun time. So Discord is updating. I'm going to see if I can get into Grafana, and I'll show Grafana. So we have a log pipeline that takes in-game activity from login activity to combat actions. So the rounds of combat. That's one thing I did. So I'll show combat. That's one of the hallmarks of the Diq style mud is the way the combat flows. It's pretty fast in general terms. It's kind of a challenge because we're looking at accessibility options for like folks that use screen readers that might be limited vision capability. We have the ability now. This was a feature I recently coded. We never really understood that. We didn't catch that info on our side. So I coded in, that's MTTS. So I coded in support for MTTS. So we can tell now if someone has that option turned on, but we haven't. Combat's probably the first thing because I downloaded a screen reader and I tried to play the game with a screen reader. I don't think I can do it because the text will go too fast. So what I'm hearing is gets up to 30 seconds to a minute behind because even with it reading out to me at 1.5 speed or 1.75 speed, it's not keeping up. I think I'm logged in to Grafana. We get the share back on. At least now you'll see what I'm seeing. goes through. Just the bouncing logo. Maybe it's my VPN connection. Like the VPN connection probably
yes.
enabled me to connect to the mud, but
Yes.
probably hindering my ability to.
Yeah. All right.
Let me cut that. I won't do combat, but I should be able to still show historical stuff just from players.
Yeah. Yeah, because now that you say that, once you even your screen refresh, your face is slow
Mhm.
to show.
Yeah. We are good with power. All right, so yeah, we got disconnected from the mud. That's fine.
What was the VPN connecting to? The house or something?
Personal resources.
Well, I guess what I'm asking is, do I need to have a VPN or connect like
No. That's just it's something here that's limited. They're probably limiting ports. It's hard to say. Let's see character activity, and then let's look at the characters. Let's say Jote and time range last 2 days. So this is another free tier Grafana Cloud. They give you up to 3 users, 50 gigabytes of data, 14 days data retention.
Grafana does?
Grafana does.
Is that the data source that you're all using?
Which I'm not super familiar with low-key. I've always been more of a Elasticsearch. But it seems to work very similar. All right, so I just broadened this out to 2 days. Looks like he's not done a lot of fighting very lightly. I think he's a cleric. But I can drill in here. And as data, let's say enhance. There we go. So here we're looking at Jote, the player, and he was taking combat actions. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not going to filter down to what he was fighting. I could filter down to what he was fighting. But here I can see his combat actions against his enemy, and then I can see the combat rolls of what he was fighting against him at this same time. Because combat, I wish I could to show that to you, but it's like however many attacks I have, however many attacks you have, and they all come together like as a feed. And then I have an opportunity to input commands for about half a second. So it's like combat rolls every second. And then I have a small window in between those blocks to enter in a command like a spell or an action like kick or bash to affect that combat. So here we can see like the to hit roll was the blue line here. So this is the die roll. It's a d20. The to hit bonus typically is going to be a flat line. That's their bonus. But if something were to modify it, like maybe I got knocked down, my bonus could shift as a part of my state. The attack is the combination of those, and then the victim's AC is 25. So effectively, if the red line is above the orange line, then he successfully hit that creature. And then on the inverse, we can see the mob trying to hit him, and his AC is the blue line. And you can see the attacker here hit the first attack, the second attack, and missed the third attack and the fourth attack. And that's through 1, 2, actually, and then this one dropped down to being a miss. Actually, and that one came, yeah, still below the blue line. So that was a miss. So this is what enables me to have that ability, and I could look at this at a larger scale and not be so finite in the look at the timestamps here. This is 1243 to 1243, and those are the milliseconds of the actual code doing the die rolls of these because it's delivered to the player at the same time, the same message. But I can now actually evaluate how something is doing in the game and use that to help apply balance. So he is actually fighting a guardsman and a rat. So there is law in the game, and he might need to be charged for these crimes. No. I could also shift this over to connections. And here you can see where players are connecting from. There's North America. We normally have a player in Alaska. I don't know if he's played anytime recently. And then there's almost always a player or two from Europe. And then here is Telnet activity. So this is just raw connections to the game socket that haven't logged in. There's a lot of scanners on the internet. And yeah, we currently don't block things like China. So we get scanned from China still. I'm working on an automated pipeline that will run the IPs against graynoise.io, which is a database of who's scanning the internet and are